We're gonna talk about how to manifest your twin flame, your soul mates, your soul tribe, all that good stuff. All right, here we go. Let's jump right into it. So first of all, let me start by saying I have been able to do this several times with several different people, different types of people, males, females, etc. A lot of people think that your soulmate is gonna have to be of the opposite gender or something like that, but nah, that's not how this works. Because in the metaphysical, gender isn't necessarily a thing. So you can choose whatever kind of form you want to, but what body somebody jumps in, that doesn't dictate if they're male or female in all their other forms and lifetimes. So keep that in mind. Now, let's talk about the first time I did it. All right. Let me start by telling you this. You're not even going to be able to attract people who are on the best frequency as you until you're on your best frequency. So all this stuff starts within. I know everybody looking for their significant other if they ain't found them and all that good stuff. And a lot of y'all is in toxic relationships. So we're going to talk about that too. But let me tell you the simple steps in order for you to get whoever you need in your life, or should I say who you desire into your life. All right. So all of this stuff is a vibration thing, right? So don't expect that you're going to be able to change your life in a dramatic way, aka getting these magical people into your life without having to give something up, because there's no such thing as receiving without something having to give something up. So if there's new life in one area, something else is going to die. So this could take place in a lot of different forms. It could be that your relationships with these other people start to crumble. So you have to be okay with things not necessarily working out how you would have expected or something like that when you're trying to get to the next level. That's with anything. That goes for all type of stuff, with relationships included. So look, first of all, you get your person by envisioning who you want to have as your person, okay? I did tell you that this starts with you going within. There's different phases to you going within in order for you to start seeing these things in the external. So you envision who you desire. So first of all, you got to know yourself. You got to know what you need out of a significant other. Of course, when I say significant other, I'm not just talking about a lover. I'm talking about a soulmate in general. So this could mean somebody who is on the same ideals as you as far as y'all similar goals. This could be y'all just being able to click when it comes to how y'all think. You know, everybody like that chemistry on where it feel like y'all can finish each other's sentences and stuff like that. So that's what I'm talking about. Male friends, female friends, best friends, all that good stuff. Some people's soulmates are their siblings already, but it all depends. So look, whenever you are shifting your frequency, you're going to have to give some stuff up if you ain't been living right. And if you have had a hard time getting whatever it is that you desire out of life thus far, know that there's a lot of things that you need to change, because it's supposed to be easy to get the stuff that you desire in this lifetime. You don't have to struggle, and it's not a requirement for you to suffer throughout your entire life. Of course, it's what you make of it. So keep that in mind. Now look, you're going to go step from the step of envisioning who this person is, and you're going to quite literally write down everything that you can think of that you would like for them to have, characteristic wise. I'm talking about from the physical to the mental and all that. So this is what I did, right? This one time I was interested in finding a new woman. So what I did was, and of course this is just how I did it, and like I said, I've done it several times, but this is just one example. This is how I found my wife. So look, I literally got a journal. I wrote down the characteristics of every girl I ever dated and all of the traits that I liked about them. Then I wrote down the things that I couldn't stand, the things that I couldn't tolerate, and the reason why the relationship failed. And then what I did was I basically picked out the absolute best traits out of every one of the women that I had in the past, and I literally, I can't say literally, but I copied and pasted it into the traits of my new woman. So the new woman that I was gonna manifest, I wrote down all type of traits like I said, from her physical, so how tall she is, the color of her eyes, her spiritual interests, the similar interests that we have. I put, for example, I wanted her to be interested in crystals. I needed her to be an entrepreneur. I needed her to be physically healthy, and et cetera, et cetera. I could go on, but you get the point. So, of course, within myself, I have to know myself well enough to know whatever I actually need and what is good for me. Because a lot of people have this idea, right? So, for example, somebody might say, shoot, I want somebody who got a lot of money, right? If you ain't got a lot of money, how you gonna expect to get somebody who got a lot of money? Why would they want to deal with you if you don't even have the things that they might feel is a requirement to keep up with them. So this should be a thing to where you both are on the same frequency in the first place. Now, I'm not saying if you broke, they need to be broke too. Of course, that ain't what I'm talking about. But basically what I'm telling you is, if you all are not seeing things from a similar perspective, then it's not going to necessarily work out. So for example, if y'all got different religious beliefs, y'all going to bump heads, it's going to clash, and it's not going to work. So if person A is a Christian, but person B is an atheist, y'all ain't going to have that many good conversations because y'all intellectuality isn't going to be compatible. Now, one thing that you got to know is that whenever you attract this person, it's pretty easy to know if they're that person, because you're not going to have to try to change them very much, right? You're not going to want to change them, because the person who they already have become, you're going to see a lot of potential in who they're going to be later. And more than anything, this person that you have in the present is going to be somebody you can very easily get along with. So if you in a relationship with somebody and y'all don't even get along, know that that's a sign that, okay, maybe this ain't the healthiest thing. Because it's not supposed to be hard to get your point across to somebody or express yourself. You need to be able to express yourself to this person in however natural ways it comes about. And of course, everybody got flaws, so you're gonna have to put up with something. It's gonna be something that you're gonna have to, should I say, tolerate. So of course, they can have all of these great characteristics that you write down, but know that you're not gonna think all the details, and ultimately, everybody got room for growth. So keep that in mind too, so stay patient with them. But if it's real deal toxic, if you find that it's to the point to where it's taxing on your mental health, or should I say it's difficult to even be yourself around them or something like that, make sure you get rid of them. Do your shadow work within yourself, get to know yourself better, so that you can make sure that the next people you attract are more on your frequency. But this is so important, bro. You gotta be willing to cut somebody off. You gotta be willing to let somebody go. A lot of people be attached to people because of how much time they invested in them and stuff like that. Like, a lot of people might say something like, well, we've been friends since elementary school. And it's like, so? That really don't matter. Like, first of all, time is an illusion. And secondly, if you met them at a time in your life where you were a totally different person, bro, you should be way wiser than when you was in elementary school or something. So sometimes, often, a lot of the time, when somebody is spiritually intelligent and they're making quantum leaps in their consciousness, they're not even going to be compatible to the people that they were around in the past. So you got to be okay with when a lot of relationships crumble, you outgrow people and stuff like that. But if you're too stuck on the familiarity of this person or these people or this group or what have you, you ain't going to be able to get very far in life, because you're not willing to take a risk. You're not willing to take a leap of faith, be alone and stuff like that. Bro, you need to be willing to be alone in the first place, in order for you to get to know yourself. And then when you do start attracting these people, you got to be able to see clearly with your mind's eye if this is actually somebody who's compatible or if they're a distraction. So that's what I'm saying, it starts within. You got to really get to know yourself. All right, cool. So anyway, now that you done wrote all the characteristics, you did your shadow work to know what you do and don't desire and all that stuff, whenever this person comes, first of all, you got to know that they're going to come. And be patient, because it might take days, weeks, or years. For me, it took about a year for my special someone to come one time. Another time, it only took about 30 days. I've done this several times, several ways, but there's a lot of power in writing something down and knowing that you're doing this with intention. So do not sleep on the pen, because the pen is something very, very useful. Also, you could, if you want to, in a way, cast a little spell by just writing something down. Of course, it don't have to be all spooky and stuff, but you could literally write something that rhymes and repeat it in your mind again and again and again. So I'll give you an example. If I say, my relationship is great, it helped me fulfill my faith. You could keep repeating that. My relationship is great, it helped me fulfill my faith. You could tell yourself that 100,000 times while you're asleep. If you command your subconscious right before you fall asleep, and that's the thing that you keep on a loop all night, your subconscious is going to start believing whatever it is that you plant into it. So of course, the subconscious mind is what rules this place. So if you do something like that, I noticed that those rhyming spells, that junk holds some serious weight. So that's a little side note. Like if you want to potentially accelerate it, you got to be willing to do stuff like that. But you got to be right-brained in the first place. So you got to be creative and know that there's so many different ways to create what you want to create. And all I'm doing is giving you a little bit of how I do it and what my flavor is on things. But the whole point of you being here is for you to be yourself, be creative, get to know your own individuality and stuff like that, so that you can come up with some stuff that works for you. Because what works for me might not work for you. But this is a little advice. So you get these characteristics, you write them down, all that good stuff, and it shouldn't be too long if you really are on the proper frequency and it's not transitioning still, because of course the transition is going to be chaotic as hell. It's going to be you falling out with people. Just make sure you don't argue with nobody, because that's completely unnecessary. Once you see that somebody's draining you, go ahead and just cut it off. It should be that simple, but I know because people are emotionally driven, they like to waste a lot of time, especially when they feel like they've invested a lot. But one good thing about investing that you need to know is when to cut your losses. So if you realize this ain't working, and if you did something crazy like fell in love with somebody's potential, hoping that they'll grow into the person that you really want them to be, if you see them potentially being a greater person later and all that, no, you can't take that stuff into consideration necessarily. You got to take them for who they are right now, and knowing that they'll mature at least a little more later, but some people won't. So remember that. Some people are never going to realize their fullest potential. There's a lot of people who won't. So if you are actually interested in becoming your best version, then you need to make sure that you're surrounding yourself with people who are also on that. And if you don't know anybody who is actually striving for greatness, then you need to be alone. Be okay with being alone for a while, because there's nothing wrong with that. A lot of people want to get married and have kids, and that's cool. Like, yeah, that's for some of us. But that's not the only way to be happy. And there's a lot of people who got married and had kids, and they did it with the wrong person, and they still unhappy because, of course, they weren't on the proper frequency whenever they chose to make that decision anyway. Now look, that's just a little tidbit. Holla at me. Click the like button and leave me a good comment or something. Holla.